Hi, Chris and Tats. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so now, Chris, you're one half of the Upper Deck podcast, and people can follow you on Twitter. You get co-host with Lynn. Hit the Upper Deck, and then Uncle Tats. People can follow you at the Pinstripe Chronicle at Stripe Chronicle on Twitter as well. And this is, again, I appreciate having you both on the show.
Oh, we're happy to be here.
All right, so I guess before we get into the Yankees, which I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot of killing of them, just like talk about, I guess, your whole network. Where people can hear you, where people listen to you, and where people can find you.
Pinstripe Chronicles. We started this about 4 years ago on the YouTube channel. We've been doing live streams for the last year and a half, and it's really been taking off. We really enjoy the interactions with a lot of the fans, where you're able to have a real reaction, and you can respond in a more realistic way, where you're not censored on a radio or TV. So it can get a little rowdy. But it's been a great community. We have a great following. There's really it's something I look forward to every time we do a show. Every show, it just the passion for it just increases. It's really been a blessing to have this platform with everybody.
It's been so much fun getting to know everyone in the Yankees Twitter community. We have a lot of fun just interacting with the different members in there. Lynn and I both are active on Twitter. We certainly have a lot of fun on YouTube, interacting with other fans. And basically, our plan is to find out what fans are talking about and talk about it and see what different angles we can bring to the conversation.
I think, if I can interrupt real quick, I think the best part about that is with doing the live streams on YouTube is we'll set out, because we do the shows, all our shows are live. Right? So anybody that wants to watch while we're live, everybody gets to interact. Everybody interacts with the host, the community, the chat. And we'll set out where we'll be like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about. And then as the chat keeps going, sometimes the topic that we're like, all right, this is going to be the focal point. The chat room dictates the progression of the show, which really brings a whole uniqueness to it. So we'll want to talk about, like when Judge hit the 60-second home run, and then part of the discussion might be, all right, what does that mean? What does that lead for next year? How is this going to impact the off season? So the conversation is so fluid. It's remarkable the way that the mind of a baseball fan and a Yankee fan really does work. Game in, game out. It's not one bit of focus. They're all over the map, and it's a wonderful platform.
Actually, yeah, it's a good point. I never thought of that. Just because on radio, usually they're dictating everything, but like what you guys are doing, it's almost like the fans are dictating what the content is. So yeah, I should never thought of that. That's a really good point.
Yeah, they're pretty much, it's very parallel to like a caller on a radio station, but we don't censor anybody. If you want to let it out the way you would if you were hanging out with your friend, on the couch, let it out. It's really been once we got past trying to be all prim and proper and everything, and started really letting our own personalities out as well. I'll go on rants where it's like, should I have really used that much foul language? But it's one thing when that there are times where being a little rude or crude, it tells everybody, look, this is really, I'm not trying to paint this perfect picture for you. This is how it really is. This is the mind of the fan. And it's been a great place for everybody to come to, because all the shows are early in the morning. So it's, have your coffee, vent out your frustrations, and then get on with your day. It's great.
Gotcha. And just so with you, Uncle Tats, so you have a new show coming up. It's Pinstripes After Dark. It's, I guess, after midnight. I'm sorry. You want to just talk about that a little bit?
Oh, thank you. No, it's tomorrow night at midnight will be the first show that I'm doing. It's going to be, because I work nights, so when I get home, I still have all the frustrations from that day or night's game. I'm like, And there's a lot of fans that are on the West Coast or international that are in a tough time zone. So when we're doing our live shows, Eastern time at 10 a.m., some fans still haven't been able to even catch up with the game. So they're not able to get into that live interaction with other fans. So I think that this is going to be something that will give more people a voice to just be themselves amongst other fans that they just can't sit with every day. So that's really the whole basis of the whole community is we all help each other out. We all help each other voice our opinions, and it's really, all I can say is it's been so much fun. I love doing it.
I wish you best of luck on that show. And Chris, really quick, maybe just talk about your co-host Lynn, who was in here, just how the two of you got together and just got your podcast off the ground.
We started off actually. We were brought together by Tats and a friend of his he was working with at the time. I had been doing some other work out elsewhere. I'd done some writing and some podcasting, but it really came together. Lynn and I and some other like-minded Yankee women fans started up the podcast. Unfortunately, as it turned out, we're the only two that really had the time to continue on with it. But we've had a great time building our relationship with the fans that we have, interacting with them. Actually, most of what I come up with is based on what I see on Twitter and interacting with different fans on Twitter. And as I said before, being part of the Yankees Twitter community. So that's pretty much how we got it off the ground, noticing that there was a need for women to be able to talk not just to each other, but to everybody, to be part of the general conversation. And, I hate to beat that drum too hard, but women belong in sports and we're happy to be part of it.
Yeah, and happy to have you on. And I've been looking for a lot of more women content providers like yourself and been having on as well. Just like, I feel that there is a community of women out there that are big loyal. I know one is that goes to every Yankee game. And it's just like, her story needs to be told.
Absolutely. And we find that story coming up over and over and over again with the women we meet. And other women are starting now to get into podcasting in the Yankee area. And so we're having a lot of fun interacting with those women as well.
So I guess we'll get to the 2023 Yankees, which is a little depressing. So obviously Nestor looks like he's done for the entire season. Rendon, maybe at best he's back in September. Hovering around 5 games out of the wild card. You think this team has any shot right now, or you just think they're pretty much dead in the water?
I think they're dead in the water. I'm not because I want to be smarter than anyone else in the room, but even I think that the other fans who are usually feeling very positive and upbeat about the team, especially after today's loss, this was ridiculous. Or, the most recent loss against Miami. It's ridiculous that this team can't hold a lead, can't generate enough offense to really pound a team and run away with it. So it's, to me, the postseason is a dream.
I said it. I'm like, this team has officially become a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
We have, an owner, a GM, and a manager that just, it's like 3 blind mice. They have no clue what they're doing. It started with the owner giving budget restrictions, the GM trying to put together a roster with a restricted budget, and the manager having to work with said players that the GM gets that the owner says is okay. And it's just not gelling. We went from, in 2017, a game away from the World Series, and each year since this new generation, right, the new core that they kept calling on, the baby bombers, whatever, it's been progressively declining with the expectations from the fan base. They have not done enough where that should have been the leaping point. That should not have been the peak. And this year, it's just all coming together where it's just collapsing from underneath. The foundation is so out of whack. They have nothing to stand on anymore, where they're just falling underneath the rubble.
Yeah, I think like that again, being 1 game away from the World Series, almost hurt him away because I think bringing in Stanton, and even though we didn't know he turned out to like bringing in DJ, I think there's always trying to bring in that one more piece, but then they end up getting themselves locked into a long-term contract, and now you're kind of stuck with someone who is hurt or just aging terribly.
Stanton is the bane of my existence. I mean, I felt like when Stanton came on board, my question was, what for? But over time, I've come to appreciate Stanton in the way that the only way that you can appreciate him, and that is, for his power bat occasionally coming in, and he can change the game. However, there's so many times when he can't, and his health is always. He's fragile. I don't know if he's actually fragile or if there's just the fear of his fragility. But to your point, yes, absolutely.
On our show, we always talk. We were big defenders of him in the beginning. We really wanted to rally around him because he was that player that came in to an environment with the expectations of being that final piece.
Right.
On the offensive side, there was still a lot of work to be done with the pitching. And we knew that they were going to be going after Cole. The sense amongst the fans was Cole was going to be that piece if he got to the market, and he did, and we got him, and it was great. But when you get a guy like Stanton, he could have been so much better. I think what really soured the fans is two parts to it: the injury. The injury patterns are terrible. There's no denying it. You could be you could be Stanton's biggest fan. The injuries you can't ignore. And Mike, one of my co-hosts, because there's three of us in the mornings, we have Rob and then Donald. And Donald came up with the most brilliant phrase for the Yankees. He says that they're Yankified. And that's where anybody with potential or just getting ready to reach into their prime, they will find a way to ruin that player. And we took an MVP from the National League where there was no DH, and the Yankees said you could only DH. And they took that athleticism away from him, and then they started going, well, why are you so fragile? I don't get it. I don't know why he keeps getting hurt. And the fans just started turning on him. But to Stanton's credit, he never shies away from the camera. He holds himself accountable more than any Yankee I could remember.
Right.
But we still hate on this guy, and it's because of the injuries and the narrative around the Yankees that he's not an outfielder. And it just trickles down. You hear it all the time on the radio. Stanton is an albatross, and he's the worst Yankee, free agent that was ever signed. I think Stanton he got such a raw deal from the Yankees, and to Chris's point where they were like, well, where's he going to play? So at the time, we always said bringing Stanton in was the most Steinbrenner move, because that was a trade George would have made 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But because of the regime that we have, he got Yankified.
Yeah, you can't blame Cashman at the time, though, because if all you have to give up is Starlin Castro to get the National League MVP, it's a no-brainer. So
right.
It's just you're a victim of that circumstance. But now, again, moving forward, because he's got so many years left on the contract, you can't just pay him to sit on the couch, and no one's going to trade for him unless you include all your great prospects. So, like it or lump it, the Yankees are going to be stuck with him the next 4 or 5 years.
No, and even if they do trade him, with the way that the trade was structured with his contract, the Marlins are paying a portion of that contract. If the Yankees trade him, the Yankees have to now absorb whatever the Marlins were going to pay. So it's not like they're saving any money. They're saving money by keeping him right now.
There's been speculation, with the torn toe ligament, and it looks like you're not going to make the playoffs. Should they just shut him down, or maybe they'll wait a couple of weeks just to get it okay with the fans and then finally shut him down? You think Judge is really going to play out the rest of the season?
I think Judge should play, just because when Judge plays, the team plays in just infinitely better, and it's a better team. I hope I'm not sounding like a selfish fan saying that, but I don't even want to watch its team without Judge on it. But that being said, if he's going to be further injured, well, yeah, shut him down. But I have the sense that it's the kind of injury that that's probably not the case. I mean, if he was going to be further injured, would he be even out there now? Would there be any chance that we'd be seeing Judge now? So my take is play him. Let's. I mean, you got to put a product on the field.
I think they should have shut him down.
Okay.
The only reason that he's playing right now is the Yankees were desperate. They had a failed deadline. Their backs were against the wall. They needed something to get, to keep fans vested to the season. And who better to market the Yankees right now than Aaron Judge, especially after last year? He got the big contract. All that stuff comes into play. So they had no choice but to bring him back early. Because if they didn't bring him back, the season would have been lost a week or two ago. Where, yes, mathematically they're still in it, but the way they're playing, they are not in it.
No.
So there's no reason why they should further risk your biggest marketing asset for the rest of this year. So if I had to say, he would have never made the field again. We'll see. Judge, look, we love you. We're glad you're here. We know you want to play. Next year's next year. Just let's get you back 100%. Even though 80% of Judge is better than 100% of a lot of other players.
Right.
It's for the long term. You just signed this guy to a massive contract. And you want to risk that in the first year? I think that's just negligence.
I've just been surprised they've been putting him in the outfield once in a while. I figured it'd just be 100% DH, but again, maybe like Chris said, maybe the injury is to a point where it's not going to get worse. But still, I would look maybe just give him another week or two, and if you reach like 7 or 8 games out of the wild card, then at that point you got to shut him down because you're not coming back and 8 games down in September. And again, this team play no inspirational baseball. It doesn't look like any fight in them that any grit that looks like they're really going to make any sort of real rush at the wild card. And just you mentioned before the trade deadline. Now, I wasn't expecting any big moves because I don't think Cashman fully believed this team where he's going to stick his neck out on the line and make some big deals. But were you kind of just surprised where it was really a non-trade deadline? What we get is 2 relievers. One of them is we'll never see again, and one is on the team like wowee. But no moves whatsoever by this team.
It was just disgusting. I couldn't believe there was nothing until the last minute. As you just described, the 2 moves that Cashman made, but the needs of this team are so obvious to the fans, and the state of the team is so obvious to the fans that they need something. Give us an infusion of hope, if nothing else. But no, they didn't even throw us a bone, which I feel like that's the way the fans have been treated by this front office for for a while now. I mean, the big names come and go, and they aren't Yankees.
So many trade deadlines over the last 5 years of players that could have really significantly helped this team that they've passed up on. And they kept selling us on, these prospects, the Volpes, Dominguez, Peraza, Cabrera, down the line, Florial, who was the poster boy of being yanktified. With this deadline, you cannot come out, like the Yankees said, and go, we're in it to win it.
I know.
They give us that deadline. It's like, who do you think you're fooling? The Yankee fans are some of the most knowledgeable sports fans in all of sports all over the world. You can't fool us. And that's what they tried to do. They tried to trick us that they were in on some sweet deal that was going to come in at the end of the wire, and you got 2 bullpen pieces, one with a career 10 ERA, and one that got sent right back to the minors. So what improvement did you make? It was such a smokescreen, and it aggravated so many of us. And obviously, you can tell by the tone of my voice, I'm still not over it. It was just that embarrassing to see them just collapse the way they did. They had, with the prospects they had, they're holding a full house, and they folded to a pair of kings. That's the way it felt.
Yeah, they could have upgraded left field, third base, and you figure with Trevino done for the year, maybe they could have gotten like a upgrade on the catcher position. But they did none of each, and I think they just banked on, all right, we'll get Beta back, and Judge will be back soon, and Rodon will be coming on the hill, and we'll just go to war with that. But yeah, like they made zero effort to again give the fans something. Maybe even if like a left fielder that's like mediocre, fine, at least something to throw out there.
Yeah, they had us frustrated of plays that we didn't even want on the team. I remember when I heard that Grichuk got moved. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh, and I'm like, I didn't even want the guy, and I'm aggravated. Like that's what they did to me this trade deadline.
Yeah,
that was the first time that they really broke me as a fan, where I just lost all control. And I had like that. I lost that little bit of professionalism I had left when I'm hosting the shows, and it was like, you know what? The gloves are off. This is the rest of the season for the Chronicle. It's just no holds barred because this is what they've done to us.
right.
Because they don't want to hear us. So who better than to vent to than each other?
All right, so let's say things trend the way they are trending and they don't make the playoffs. Obviously, it looks like they're going to blow this thing up a little bit. But let's just start at the top. I mean, what are your thoughts on Hal? And of course, you have Cashman, 3 years left on his deal, which again, you're not going to pay a guy 3 years to sit on the couch. And of course, Boone with 2 years left on his deal. Again, I don't see them cutting Boone with 2 years left on his deal. I mean, what do you think they do with the upper management?
I think they're going to sit tight, basically. I mean, what do I dream about them doing? I would dream about them. Let's just say, for example, they could create some super position and move Cashman up the ladder, man. That would be my dream, so that he could be somewhere else in the organization. Maybe make him like some kind of assistant king or something, and then bring in someone like Kim Eng to run this place. I mean, we need new ideas, whole infusion. But do I think that's what will happen? I mean, that's a silly dream. But the organization, I think, was exposed at the deadline for being basically moribund, being just dead inside. They need some life. And I don't know where they're going to come up with it, because they seem unwilling to make any kind of institutional changes in the Yankee organization.
Rest in peace to Hank. If Hank was still the guy that was in charge, look at what Hank did at the helm in 2009.
Okay.
Where their backs were against the wall. George's health was in a rapid decline, and he got the job done. And it was an expensive offseason, but it paid off because we had the championship. That was the last we ever came close to it. I don't think I just think Hal is just sitting back collecting the money. So he's not going to give it up. There's all the sell the team narrative. I think that's for waste. The owner, the Steinbrenners, that family will never sell the team.
No.
But one of the jokes I made the other day, before I get to Cashman now, but what I said about Hal is doing his best to mimic the CBS years before his father even bought the team. He's like, well, I saw how bad that was. Look, I could do that better. That's just the way it feels. It just feels like CBS all over again. An owner collecting the money with no interest in anything. You just throw something on the field. All right, let's see what we have with this. With Cashman's that guy at this stage after 25 years. He's that guy, you're walking up to him and you see that there's a fence and it's got beware of dogs. And you're just like, all right, here's the Yankees on the phone, but it's a stuffed animal on the other side. There's no substance to him anymore. He's lost his bite. He's got no drive left. He's just sitting there, just collecting dust. He has no way of doing anything. Boone, unfortunately, look, he's a great guy. I don't think anybody could say a bad thing about him. Even as off the mark as his post game shows are, he's given the script. He's not talking for himself. I think we all know that. And we all know that at the end of the year, he's the one that's going to get the axe as the scapegoat, right behind Dylan Lawson. Which was another smoke and mirrors type of firing and hiring with Sean Casey. But the Cashman, until he decides it's time to hang it up, he's here.
No, I agree with both your points. Like Chris, it would be great if he does stay on as VP, but we do need a set of fresh eyes on player development, scouting across the board, because it's all bad right now. He does make some good trades once in a while, but again, it's just time for a change. And I would also agree with you, Uncle Tats. Yeah, Hank was definitely more of the George, and I think it would have been a different story if Hank was still around, kind of running this thing. Again, what caught my eye with Hal was a couple months ago in June when he was like, Why are you guys complaining? Why are you guys panicking? They were like in fourth place. Like, that's why we're panicking.
In June.
Team. So that should be a warning sign there. I think he knows a little bit more. I think he's a little aloof, but yeah, I mean, we'd be in a much different situation if we had Hank around, unfortunately, but unfortunately he passed away at a young age. So as we kind of wrap it up here, I think, some of the players that, we're going to be speculating who are going to hit free agency. One of them, we got Harrison Bader. Local guy, we like him, but he gets hurt a lot. What are your initial thoughts? Would you like him back? Do you think he will be back?
I'd love to see him back. I think he's a fun guy. He seems to play well in New York. I don't think he's knocked my socks off, but then again, I wonder if, the team around him was knocking my socks off, if he wouldn't have more of an impact. But his injuries have been a little disappointing, but when he's out there, I think he's fun. I think he can be impact, definitely.
He's the crazy neighbor that sometimes it's like, all right, can you just go home? But you don't want him to leave. So it's going to be dictated by the market, right? I think that the Yankees are going to try something different, but really their plan, they're going to have plan A. Plan 1A will be Bader.
Okay.
If the guy that they really, let's say, and plan A would be Dominguez, starting at center field. If Dominguez still needs a little more work, Bader's getting that call. No doubt in my mind. And I would welcome him back. I think he was the guy that I didn't want. When they traded him, I was fuming. I'm like, we have enough injury problems. You traded for a guy already in a boat.
Yeah.
So it took a while. His energy in the postseason won me over.
Yeah.
So for that's what we've been missing with the Yankees. It's the postseason energy.
The same. And again, if they get him like on a 2-year deal, I think that'd be very sensible for both sides. So I enjoyed spending some time with you. So, great having you both on. Great chat. Again, Chris can follow you at Hit the Upper Deck on Twitter. And of course, Uncle Tats, catch you at the Pinstripe Chronicle there. And again, I wish you best of luck on both your shows. And hopefully we can reconvene at some other time with, under a better circumstance.
Oh,
yeah, no, we'll definitely have to have you on with us sometime.
Hey, I'm game.